Hello, Secret Keepers. There are many challengers in the board game market, and not many have the wingspan to handle all of these games. You would think our guest today would have the crew, Mission Deep Sea, on his side to travel to the lost ruins of Arnak, kiss the galactic outer rim, protect Spirit Islands, and build Ark Nova, all while urban designing Everdell. And whatever you do in Tapestry, maybe Tapper the Tapestry? We have DG Walker in with us today to talk about all that and so much more on the Megamoth Studios Super Secret Podcast. Shh. All quiet in the library. Welcome back to the show, Secret Keepers. I'm your host, nickname bestower, and community grower, Joel Watts, joined as always by...
Danny, up past my bedtime.
Mm-hmm.
And congested, extremely congested.
Yes, obligatory podcast apology for one of the hosts not sounding quite normal, but, you know, Danny's pushing through it, and I think so should we all. But today, in our third seat, which I like to call the hot seat, because hotties are always sitting in it, is DG Walker.
Oh, yeah.
How are you doing, DG?
Hey guys, good. That was an amazing intro. I loved it. I didn't know what was going on at first, and then I figured it out.
Thanks. You can tell awesome. I watched at least one of your TikToks today.
Yeah. Yep. Which one? Which one?
That was your top 10 games.
Oh, I know.
Yeah. Well, we're going to be getting into all that, and we're going to be talking to DG about making content for TikTok, designing his first game, navigating publishing, and his humble beginnings as a manager of a literary magazine. Oh, no, we have a smarty on. A smarty and the hottie. On today, I got to be on my best behavior. But first...
I'm going to apply a healthy amount of lotion this episode.
If you have anything to say about it during the Something Random, Danny. But why don't we first get into our question of the week? And this one actually came to us, submitted by one Danny Ayub. So thank you so much, Danny, for submitting this question of the week. I haven't even thought of my answer yet, so I'll go last. DG, what food do you wish was more readily available?
Ooh, like in the world or in my life?
I guess in the world.
Oh God. Well, I can say I would always want more hot wings. So. Even though I feel like those are pretty readily available in the world, I'll say that as my answer because I would love more hot wings. I'll take more hot wings.
Nice. Just curious, do you think you could sit through and make it through hot ones?
See, the thing is, I like hot wings, but I do only like them up to a certain level. Like I used to go when I was younger. I used to go crazy with it. Like I used to go to like the hottest every single time. But I've smartened up a little bit and actually started to enjoy my food more. So no, probably not. I'll pass on that.
Yeah, me too. I would dread sitting in that hot seat.
Yeah.
No, hot wings are it's a pretty good answer. I have to admit I'm a child. I like my wings to be boneless, tendies as they call them.
Tendies, those are great.
All right, Danny, what was on your mind when you asked this question?
Well, I was hoping I'd come up with a more intriguing answer by the time we got to the show. Unfortunately, I didn't, so I'm just going to go with what's always on my mind, which is a condiment, actually. I honestly feel like chimichurri needs to be more readily available. Like, I feel like every steakhouse should have chimichurri at this point. Like, it's kind of, like, disconcerting that we are having some sort of chimichurri shortage in the world.
Okay. Yet again, I'm a child. What is chimichurri? I feel like I don't know this one.
Yeah, it's okay. We'll pass. I'm just kidding. It's a parsley based sauce. It's olive oil, parsley, red pepper flakes, salt, pepper, garlic, a little bit of white wine vinegar, maybe. Same description we gave you during Anna's episode.
Oh, okay. So I have already heard about this. So
yes,
not
on this
only
podcast,
not only am I a child,
within the last 2 episodes.
I have the memory of a fish.
3
episodes. Green, right? It's green, right? I know that much. Yeah.
We've recorded a few. There's a few in the can still. All right.
It's hard to keep track of where we're at.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I was thinking about this answer, and I think as somebody who, as of right now, delivers food for a living, I think that I have to go with just healthy food in general. Like broccoli, salads, anything like that. It just you can't. There's very few restaurants that are just easily accessible that you could just go in and get that kind of food from, and especially order from. And I'm constantly, finding myself not eating enough vegetables in my day-to-day life, and trying to fix that. So, I guess I'll just say healthy food. Like I wish there was a healthy fast food option. Sure, that's
what do they call it, like food deserts or something, where like there's no good healthy options in like urban areas, and everyone's just eating from like gas stations and fast food.
Yeah, when I'm delivering,
isn't that like a thing?
Yeah, when I'm delivering for my job, I'm basically in a food desert, so it's all like pizza from my work. Maybe every now and then on a slow day, I'll stop by our local grocer, HEB, represent here in Texas, HEB. But
what hand sign was that? For those who are listening, Joel just made some sort of bizarre hand sign that seemed like he belonged to a gang, but I wasn't sure which one.
I was wondering about that too.
The butts, man, the butts. That's like what we should call it, the H, because it stands for Howard something butt. And so maybe we should be the butts, and that could be our like booty sign right there.
I feel like we've made DG so uncomfortable in such a short amount of time. He's like, I have no idea where this podcast is going.
I hope not.
Listen, I've listened to at least one other episode, so I'm kind of on board. I get what's going on. So
awesome.
We were on our best behavior for Laia, just so you know. We were on our best behavior. We didn't want to freak her out because she was in Europe. It was late.
Yeah,
we just didn't want to.
As an American, you might have heard tale of HEB, but she probably has never heard of HEB. So, didn't want to.
I haven't heard of it, and I haven't seen that hand signal either. So,
just so you know, nobody has seen this hand signal. I just made it up.
So that's a new one. All right, exclusive.
Yes,
beautiful.
Podcast exclusive. Well, why don't we get into some more serious talks, DG? I think those were all great questions. That was a great question of the week, and in fact, don't keep your answers a secret. Let us know in the comments what food would you pick to have more often in your life. So, and while you're at it, you might as well like and subscribe. You can press that like button, and for every 100 subscribers we get, I've agreed to get a new face tattoo.
That's accurate. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, man, that's okay. Maybe for the first 100. How about that? If we get 100.
No, for every 100. For every 100.
Man, how many?
I'm real close. I've got like what do they call that? Like one of those farms that will just like constantly like and subscribe for you. You're not gonna have any face visible after this.
Ever dreamed of embarking on legendary quest, unlocking hidden secrets, and discovering untold riches? Dive into the world of X Seekers of Fortune. It's the game that's soon to be taking the internet by storm. Sign up today at xseekersoffortune.com and start your journey to greatness. Remember, fortune favors the bold. See you there.
Oh, I guess I have a future career in mumble rap ahead of me. But
yep.
Until then, DG, why don't we get to know you a little bit better? So I always like to start out by finding out people's origin stories, specifically your gaming origin stories. So I usually like to ask and start out with, did you grow up in a gaming family?
Yeah. So I would say kind of like not a huge gaming family.
Okay.
But we would like a big family like game that we would often play that I still like love today. And if you saw the top 10, then you would know it. It's cribbage. We played cribbage like all the time growing up. It was like kind of the way that we would connect as a family is, we all knew how to play and we would all play it. So, we'd often play that. We also played things like, Monopoly and Life and stuff like that, but nothing like, nothing nearly what like we get to modern board games and kind of where the collection has gone at this point.
Yeah.
No, that was not in my household growing up for sure.
Well, I mean, it's all kind of a new phenomenon in a lot of ways. It wasn't like, that style of board gaming that we have now wasn't with us, any of us here when we were kids, or at least if it was very underground. I mean, we're talking like an era where like the biggest, most expansive game would have been something like the Dune game from the 80s.
We talked to a lot of people in the hobby, and virtually no one tells us that they were into like unique games growing up. It's always the same. Like everyone's like starting with like Monopoly and Clue.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's good. Okay, great. I don't feel like such an imposter anymore.
No, man,
Yeah,
you're definitely not. Well, I guess in that case, what you have hundreds. I'm assuming hundreds, maybe thousands of board games now. What did
Billions even?
What was that first step? What was that first?
Well, we're not quite there. We're overestimating just slightly.
Okay. Well,
But yeah, no, it's I liked the collection. We're getting there. We're growing it. No, so I would say that the first sort of step into like the modern board game in the collection that we got now is like actually the pandemic. Because like I reconnected with an old friend from high school. We were playing like game nights on the Switch. So we would like all get on like Mario Kart and start playing that and stuff like that. And then eventually things started to open up a little bit more, and we were like, oh, why don't we actually get together? And he was like, yeah, I'll bring over some board games. And so I was like, okay, we'll do that. I haven't really done that in whatever amount of time. It was a while. And he brought over I think he brought over Wingspan. He brought over Ticket to Ride, and then probably Azul. I'm pretty sure those are the three games that we ended up playing. And I walked away from that game night just kind of like, okay. Like I wasn't super into board game. Like it was funny because, like, yeah.
Those are the heavy hitters. I thought you were going to say that was like your road to Damascus or something there.
Oh, believe me. Like that is usually how the story ends. That's the great origin story. But no, I walked away and I'm sitting there like, birds? Like what? Birds? Okay. Like I was not into birds. Like it was just not happening. And then like, okay, we're putting trains on a board and I'm trying to get whatever. I think I ended up winning Ticket to Ride that game, but like still it was just, I don't know, for some reason. But luckily, my wife saw something in them. She was like, no, these are great. Like these are really good games. And she wanted to play more. So she like, invited him back over and we played again. And then for some reason that was like, okay, I kind of get it now. And then we just kind of went off and started getting our own games. And I think Everdell was one of the other first games that we got. And it was just like, after that, it was over. Like, yeah.
Okay. I have a question about Wingspan I want to ask.
Yeah.
So have you played a lot of solo Wingspan?
No, I haven't played any of it.
So I've only ever played Wingspan on my phone. Like there's an app, and I constantly just get completely creamed by the AI. I've played 20 times. I think I've beat it once. And I was like, I want to know, like, is that like, am I just terrible at Wingspan, or is it like very difficult in solo mode?
Well, it depends on, I guess, what's your score, because then we can gauge it from that.
Oh, I don't even remember. It's usually within somewhere between like 5 and 40 points of the AI. I don't know.
Okay. Well, yeah.
No, there's a range. I feel like I don't understand how to build these engines like to the same level that they do. They always seem like they're just playing so many more birds.
Yeah.
There's so many birds.
I get it, and I'm actually probably not the strongest Wingspan player either. Because like I guess I have a hard time building the engines as well. Like I go down a path and I'm like, oh, I'll definitely get these types of birds, and they'll all synergize, and then I can't find them. Like I can't find those birds, and they don't work out. And I'm not the strongest Wingspan player for sure.
Wingspan.
I want to meet a really strong.
I was going to say that
the Wingspan
sounds like the Wingspan version of Monoscrew.
Yeah. Yeah. No, there's definitely something in Wingspan that's like, I guess like what would be the equivalent of like resource style? Like you're just not drawing something for a certain habitat.
Yeah, I mean
Or
that's
different nest
too,
type.
right? The you get the bird feeder, that random element, which is great. Like I love the dice, I love the bird feeder.
Yeah,
like
that
it
too.
makes I love it. Like it's beautiful. But it does kind of just like if you're looking for this food and it never comes up and you're sitting on that bird that's going to make your game, yeah, it can be a long night.
So Joel, to answer your question, I think Wingspan probably has 3 unique systems that you could be mana screwed in. You can get screwed on nest type, habitat type, and food availability.
Wow, and this is like considered the most like the one of the biggest like names in board gaming, and it's like
It's really fun.
I'm sure it is. Magic's fun.
It's just disheartening.
Magic,
Magic is fun.
Magic's fun. It's
Just
fun.
so imagine Magic with birds and 3 times as much mana screw, and that's Wingspan.
Why are we removing
I've never heard it
why do we
described
try
that
to
way?
remove
This
the
is beautiful.
mana screw from X Seekers of Fortune? I don't understand. It seems like that's the key. We should have put 5 times of mana screw in our game.
Yeah.
There you go.
All right. Okay, so we'll just circle back on that. It sounds like your wife, which I think we're turning into a wife guy podcast because wives are very important to the men that we have had on, and we definitely need to be talking to them. But it sounds like your wife saw something there and kept you coming back until it clicked. I think that is beautiful, and you listened to her.
Yeah.
So after you got turned on to the habit, what did you go out and buy? What are those games where you're like, well, I got to have that at home?
Well, so another one. So the one that like I am now, evangelizing all over the place, saying Tapestry.
Mm-hmm.
That was another one where like that again. I'm gonna give credit to my wife. She saw that game and she was like, "This looks amazing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like this looks so cool." And so I was like, all right. And so we got the game. Like, listen, I don't know if we have the same process as most people who get into the hobby of like, when you're first in the hobby, you kind of are like, you're like a dog chasing a car. Like, I want that, so I'm going to buy it. And like, you dump a ridiculous amount of money into things that you maybe don't research that much. That's kind of what it was like for us. Like, we just were like, because Tapestry is not a cheap game. Like, that was like, I think
How much is it?
I think it was like $90 or something like that.
Oh, wow.
Like, because it
How long
has
does it take to play?
It has miniatures in it. Like, it has like the landmarks and stuff. So it takes about, I would say probably around 45 to an hour to play.
Oh,
something
that's not
like
bad.
that.
Yeah.
No, yeah, it's not bad. It's great. Like, it works. Like, everything works in it. But the first time, we played the game, there's a lot of systems going on, and like you go up these tracks, and it's simple, like turn structure, whatever. But there's a lot to think about in order to be successful, and that's not my strong suit, to think about stuff in a like more than 2-dimensional level.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was atrocious at the game, and I did not really enjoy it at first. And then I just like kept playing it, and then I got obsessed with it. And so like I found Board Game Arena, and then that was crazy, because then I don't even want to show you my statistics on how many games I've played of Tapestry on that, because
How do you?
It's embarrassing.
What is Tapestry all about? Like, what is the objective of the game?
Okay, so it's a civilization game where you're building out the civilization. Like I even that, like I'm like, I come from the world of poetry, and I just love how he, like Jamie Stegmaier, he titled it Tapestry when it could have been kind of anything else. But like the idea of the title is, you're building a civilization, and you're trying to create a storied history of that civilization that you would put on a tapestry, right? And so like that's where the title comes from, and I just find that poetic. But there's 4 tracks, right, that you could go up at any given time. You have exploration, military, technology, and science. And basically, you're spending resources to push up those tracks and develop your civilization in kind of whatever way. So like you'll have players who really focus in on the exploration and the military, or like me, where I focus a lot on technology and science because those really synergize together. But the idea is that you're building your civilization and just trying to get the most points, right? It's a point game. So, but yeah, there's so much variability to it. It's awesome.
It sounds like a really fun game. I mean, I'm a huge Civ fan and pursuing technology trees and science victories and just having the ability to pivot. And so like, you can pursue any one of those branches as a means of winning, and then like you just decide how much you want to go all in, or do you have to like do everything in tandem?
Yeah. So the beauty of that game is you can kind of start off with a strategy of, all right, I want to focus a lot on technology or whatever, but something could come up where, there's this thing called Tapestry cards that you'll get, which adds the bit of randomness to it, where, okay, this era you can't go up military, or this era you'll like get extra bonuses for going up tech, and so depending on what like Tapestry cards you get will kind of push you in a direction of like, where am I, where do I want to go now, and you can pivot your strategy, right? You can do that a lot, but a lot of times you're going to kind of find a strategy, stick with it, and just kind of go all in on that, and that's usually when you're most successful, unless people throw wrenches in your plan and stuff like that, which can happen.
Got to diversify your portfolio, or I guess your anthropology in that situation. That sounds like a beautiful game to me. I did a little bit of research. I don't, in the intro I made a joke about not knowing what Tapestry is about, but I did read like at least the high concept, and I do agree. It sounds so poetic. It sounds like a game that Danny and I, might have batted around the idea, like that history, creating a civilization through their history, through the story that they live. I think I can't wait to get my hands on it. So I'm looking forward to playing that one. I have a question. Now that you're in the hobby, I noticed you had a Star Wars game, and there I noticed that you had an exploration kind of archaeology game, but it was very diverse. I really enjoyed that about your top 10 list. I think my question is, what attracts you to a game? Like what makes you want to try a game out? You do have a Star Wars game in there, but I'm guessing you're not as attracted to franchise games because you had a Star Wars game in there.
Right. Actually, the Star Wars game, Star Wars Outer Rim, was a hard sell for me because I was sitting there like, you're throwing an IP on it. It's probably not going to be great, right? That's just kind of where I was coming at it from. And again, I'm going to sound like a broken record, but my wife was really like, she researched the game and she was like, "This sounds great, and we should get it." And then we played it, and like you can see, it's I think it's like number 5 or 4 on my list. It's up there because it's just so. Like you just get so into the story of it. So I think that's what draws me the most into games, is like the theme and the story and the world that you can get into, because that is something that I never thought was like possible with games, right? Before I got into the hobby, I just thought, oh, you got cards, you maybe go like cribbage, right? You got cards, you're adding up numbers, you're moving your peg, great. There's nothing really going on there. But then we played Tapestry and we played Everdell, and all of a sudden you got a story, right? You have like a whole world in front of you that you are designing, that you're a participant in, that you can build and manipulate and make it kind of whatever you want, and at the end you can kind of say, "Hey, I beat you," right? And after doing all that stuff,
winning,
right? I beat you.
I think two things there. So I would take it that you're less attracted to abstract games then.
Yeah, I would say there are exceptions to it. Like, there are certain abstract games that really like are crazy. Like, I love, like, Suro is a great game. I love that one because I just find the tile laying and the those stones and how they move, and like how you have to be really strategic in that way. And then like a game like Corridor is also another like abstract game that I really enjoy. But yes, I tend to go to theme more than anything, I would say.
Yeah, I think that's big with Danny and myself as well, and making our own game with making X Seekers of Fortune. Like once we discovered the theme, the game sort of just congealed together. And I know I haven't played it yet, but once I discovered Twilight Imperium, I became very like, oh, I can't wait to try that one because the theme, almost like a Dune-esque space empire builder or whatever, was like, oh, that sounds amazing. So yeah, we're right there with you. I think story for us is just as important as mechanics, and they feed each other. I wouldn't know. I think before we designed, I always like to say before we designed a game, I thought that I would always lean towards abstract. I'd want to build the mechanics and then just paint the theme on top at most. But then once we actually did it, it was like, no, it's like a ball being bounced or playing catch. It's like you have to, the mechanics have to throw the ball at the theme, and then the theme grabs it and throws it back at the mechanics, and you're kind of like constantly whittling away from both sides. At least that's the way that Danny and I ended up doing it, and it just seems like the right way for us. Well, speaking of making go ahead, Danny.
Yeah, I just want to add real quick to that. I think we were both kind of blown away just by the amount of storytelling space in games. We came from a storytelling background. We've always loved telling stories. I don't think either of us thought we were going to tell a grand story when we sat down to make X Seekers of Fortune. We were just making a card game. Mm-hmm. And then, here we are a year and a half later, and we're like, oh, we're finally telling the big story that we've always wanted to tell. Like, who knew that games was the medium for that?
Yeah.
Like, that was revelatory.
So we know that you came from a literary background, and we know that you're working on a game. So obviously, I guess I'm just curious about that now that we've talked about our experience with storytelling through our game. How's this going for you? Tell us about the game that you're designing and what's the story.
Yeah, I would say I totally when you're describing the ball going back and forth, and like that's exactly kind of how I approach game design. Mm-hmm. When I'm thinking of it is I think that you're telling a story, or you're building a world that these the players can play in, and I believe the mechanics should reflect that, right? Like the thing that I guess really just sets off those the dopamine in my head when I'm playing a game is when I can see what the designer was thinking of, like, oh, they want us to do this with this mechanic because of the story they're telling. Mm-hmm. And so that's what I'm trying to do. Yeah. So I'm doing a game. I'm also like a guy who just, I don't think I take myself super seriously. I like to have, I like to have fun. So yeah, go figure. Guy who plays games likes to have fun. what? But so like the game I'm designing right now that I'm furthest in designing is a game basically kind of about just being a terrible neighbor, right? Like this idea of like it came from my experience of like we bought our first house, mm-hmm. and it was in a like a suburb kind of area where our neighbors were kind of close to us and stuff, and I just like I just hated the whole comparison culture that came out of it. Like it was like, oh, you're mowing your lawn, so now I got to scramble to mow my lawn to make sure it doesn't seem like I'm neglecting my house. Oh, you're doing that yard work. Oh, like I got to do that because my house has to be matched up to you. And like, you'll get those the comparison culture was like, it just bothers me, right? So
social guilt, social pressure, keeping up with the Joneses.
Yes. Yeah. Like yeah. So basically when I was thinking of like designing a game, I was just like, I want to make a game that's kind of like a satire where basically you're just rewarded for being the worst neighbor, of being the neighbor who just makes everyone else around you just envy the crap out of you, that basically just makes them jealous, right? And so yeah, like the game I'm designing is this game where you are building out your backyard, and you're basically making your backyard just the backyard to end all backyards. So and you're basically screwing over your neighbors in the process, right? They're doing the same thing. They're building out their backyard, and you can you can just kind of sabotage them in different ways depending on stuff. So it's this really right now it's this really interesting mix, and this is where kind of the balancing act. When you're designing, you got to figure out balance, but this balancing act of it's like you're kind of like this resource management sort of optimization game where you're really just trying to turn out like, how can I get my engine running most efficiently to build out my backyard the best, while also kind of throwing wrenches in everybody else's plan while they're trying to build out their stuff, right? And so kind of like the way I'm kind of pitching it is like this Euro game for players who don't mind a little Ameritrash fun. Like that's kind of the way I'm sort of pitching it. Like,
can you give us
what's it called?
Way.
Yeah.
See, I'm not sure yet because like we're working on titles, but right now like the working title that I have is Cul-de-sac Wars.
Okay.
That's yeah. I'm trying to figure out what I want to call it, but that's what I have so far.
I would pick.
There's
I
a
would
couple
go
other
clean
ones.
one word: trashy.
Yeah, trashing it up.
Yeah. Well, can you give, just really quick? Can you give us an example of like a, I guess something that something you can do in the game, like scramble. Like what can you put in your backyard to try to out gaudy your gaudy neighbors?
Yeah, I mean, okay, so there's right now there's a couple different there's two different types of projects. You have the large projects, which take longer to build, and then the smaller projects, which the way that they're gonna kind of work is the large projects are the ones that are gonna kind of help you make everything else a little bit cheaper for yourself. So like, you've done this water feature right in your backyard, right? You've done a fountain, and now all of a sudden, because you've devoted the time to like build that out or do that sort of thing. Now all water projects that you do are going to be easier because you've had the experience of doing it, right? So there's that. And then the smaller projects are ones that are kind of like set collection. They're going to be kind of like set collections. So like you'll get a certain amount of points for like odd numbers or even numbers of something, or it's adjacent to this stuff. So like it's going to be a lot of that sort of stuff going on there. And then the fun bit I like is like just this idea of like one of my favorite sort of mechanics that I came up with was so there's actions that you take, right? There's daytime phases and nighttime phases, so you can work during the day or night, right? And you at night, it's you want it to be peaceful. You don't want to annoy your neighbors, whatever. But if you decide to construct at night, right? If you decide like I need to construct at night because like my engine, I got to get this going a little bit. You have the possibility to annoy your neighbor, right? So like you construct at night because it's loud and noisy. So when you construct at night, you roll a die, and if it lands on the number of one of your the lot numbers of one of your neighbors who's playing, they get a sabotage card because they're gonna hold a grudge, right?
They want vengeance.
So they're gonna. Yeah, so they're like
super real experience with this. This feels really, really like oddly like what life was like. Do you remember this, Joel? The neighbor that I had in Austin, the duplex.
I remember you had a duplex. Was it the person in the same duplex as you, or was it like somebody across the fence?
On the other side, he was an ex-con who every night, in the middle of the night, would be constructing a giant koi pond in his front yard that we shared with him.
Oh.
And it was extremely loud.
Okay, yeah.
It was extremely loud. It looked extremely ugly. And like as you're describing this, I'm like, man, where's my sabotage? Like I didn't get to sabotage anything. I just had to endure it.
I'm just that's very, let's just say, Breaking Bad behavior of your neighbor there.
There were Breaking Bad vibes for there for sure.
Yes, but also
and this is why I'm doing this.
I remember this because I think I commented on it because I'm a very positive person. So I think we were probably taking a walk and I was like, hey, look at that. That looks kind of cool. What's that going to become? And I'm sure you were groaning while I was like saying those things.
Oh, absolutely. 100%. In your game, is it like possible for you to like cook meth, or is that just not part of the flavor?
No, I don't have any car. Like, hey, listen, like it's still in development. I got time. I can add it in.
Yeah.
We'll figure stuff out. I can figure that out.
Yeah, just like whenever somebody like what I feel like I've learned is anytime somebody has a decent idea that we don't have time to try, I'm just like, okay, file that away in the expansion, like files.
Yeah, expansions that's where you got to do all that stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh.
I don't know. I'm just for some reason the image of a Venus de Milo statue, I think that's how you say that, being peed on by a dog in a backyard is like coming to my mind. I think that's like that's what I'm picturing this game to kind of feel like.
It's beautiful. Yep, Yep. Basically, yeah.
Okay.
Nailed
cool.
it.
Sweet.
Where are you with the development process on that then?
So yeah, I mean, I feel like I've gotten the game to a playable state where things feel, like they work, right? Like all the actions kind of work together, and they're doing that. I feel like it's just like the I've been working on this for years, so it's kind of like, but it's also in between, right? You know how it is, right? Like you have to find the time to be able to do it, and so it's like there's periods of time where I'm working on it a lot, periods of time where I haven't touched it in a while, and sleepless nights working on this stuff. But yeah, so I think it's just I'm at the fine tuning stage where I want to make sure all the cards work and all the like the random elements don't break the game and stuff like that. So yeah, fine tuning stages. I don't know. I'm feeling good about it. So
it sounds like it's almost ready for prime time. It sounds like you're not far away. Like once you get through that fine tuning, you're going to be able to like go to a board game convention and bring it to show people and get some intense feedback. And so I think you're in a really exciting spot because like once you show the game off for the first time, you learn a lot about the game. And you said that this is one of a few. Like you have a couple others cooking right now.
Yeah, I mean, I have a doc, like I have a Word doc, where basically I've just started like, I actually have at the basic level, I have a thing on my phone where I just put kind of board game titles, like idea titles that I've just dropped in there, where I have this spark of an idea and I have like some things I want to do with the game, so I just throw the title in there so I don't forget it. And that, for some reason, works. And I'm like, oh, okay, I know what game I'm talking about. But I also have this Word doc where I've started, like, I think like 5, like, rule books, right? Like, I've started them. Like, this one, obviously, is kind of fleshed out, obviously, almost done. But, like, a lot of the other ones I have, like, oh, okay, here's how many players or what are the basic round structures or that sort of stuff. And so I have flavor text in there and stuff like that. But yeah, so there's probably like, I don't know, 5 right now that I'm interested in pursuing more of.
Okay.
So there's a little bit of a spoiler here. I mean, I guess Joel mentioned it in the earlier with your literary background, so you have a writing background. How do you approach a new game idea versus a new story idea for something that you're writing? Are those is it very similar? Is it very different? What is that like for you?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I think I guess the best way of describing it is it's all unique, right? Every sort of project or story or whatever I'm working on creatively, it's the pathway into it, the way to kind of break through and actually start making progress on it, I feel like is always different, right? So for some games, like the one that I've just talked about, Cul-de-sac Wars, like that came from an experience, right? Like I had that experience and then I'm like, I'm going to go going to go forward and design a game around it. What would the mechanics look like from that? Okay, great. Other times I have like an idea for a mechanic of like, this is what I want to, do in the game, and then kind of what makes sense in terms of the story in order to make that work. And then for a story, like or a poem or whatever, it's usually just something I can't get out of my head or whatever. Like I just keep. It takes a while for me to go from my head onto like a keyboard or the page, and if it's something that keeps coming through my head over and over again, then I'm like, okay, I need to put, I need to get this out. I need to like try and see where this goes, because otherwise it's usually not like, I'm kind of interested in this. Usually it's like I need to, I got to write this down. So yeah.
I'm right there with you in some recent creative developments, and I would say, like, I think that if I had learned to play music, or like if I were to sit down and learn to play music, I think I would have that with music, because every now and then I do get like unique tunes in my head, especially after a few drinks or something like that, and like it's like I just don't have the pathways through my hands to like make it happen. So I completely feel you there. But stopping and writing it down, huge proponent of keeping your notes with you and writing everything down. But I love that the pathway to storytelling is experience. I really love that.
Okay, so let us know here, like, as you're wrapping up design on your first game, I mean, surely you think about next steps. Have you given a lot of thought to, how you see your career as a game designer? Are you looking to do self-publishing? Are you looking to partner with people? What kind of career do you expect to have as a designer? Is publishing out of the question for you, or is it, self-publishing or starting your own publishing company, or do you think you're going to be looking for partners?
Okay, yeah, for the most part, like the way that I sort of envision my career in this space, I would like to be like a designer, and then I would like to sell my games to publishers and then have them go for it, because like I would like to be, okay, great, let's do this, let's take the game and let's get it out there and do kind of what you guys are doing, which is just do it from top to bottom and get it done. But I'm just realizing that that's not where my strengths are. Like I'm not the guy who's gonna like talk about freight shipping and like figure out all the little details that go into it. Like Stonemaier is one of those publishing companies that I've like followed a lot because Tapestry is my favorite game, and then Wingspan was obviously one of the first games that got me into the hobby, and then I've kind of liked almost every game they've put out for the most part, and so I followed Jamie Stegmaier on a lot of his like things like YouTube and stuff, and he's incredibly transparent about the day-to-day operations of a publishing company, and that's just not my jam. Like that's just not my vibe. Like I can't do that. I like that's not where I'm at. So that's where I envision. Yeah,
you need that's why it helps us that there's two of us. Do you have a creative partner, or are you doing the solo?
For the most part, yeah. Everything that I've done in terms of like game design has been kind of solo, right? It's been pretty much just, like done with that. I originally, when I was thinking of like actually doing board games, I was thinking, hey, let me get the guy who got me into board games into it and like see like if we could do something. And we had some initial talks of like, oh, let's work on this together. And then I sort of just started doing it, and like he never kind of came back to me and be like, oh yeah, let's do. So I was more invested in it, and that was totally fine for me, because I don't know, I don't think I work well with others with creative stuff. I'm the guy who locks myself in a room and I can only work if I'm alone. right? Like my wife is way different. She needs like the energy of people around her, and then she's like, she can bust out, like, she's also a literary person, but like she can bust out a 30-page essay in an afternoon. That's brilliant. If I'm with her, like, and she's talking to me and like whatever, she's not like asking me how to write, but she's talking to me in that energy. I'm not. I have to be like the hermit of like, I'm just by myself. So yeah,
I get that. Yet again, I think like there's probably a lot of similarities here with our creative partnership. I tend to work best. Well, I think I work best alone. And I think Danny, like I would say, Danny, you often like work. Like I think we know when we need to come together and talk through it and then go separate and just work on it. But yeah, there's definitely I'm not sure exactly where I'm going with that, but I feel both sides of the coin there, and I think working. If you're not working well with others or you just work best alone, like, more power to you, dig in. But there probably is a space, maybe not for co-designing the game, but, there could be space down the line for the business side, finding somebody who's like not so much a creative, but somebody who's much more of a business person who can talk freight. Also, folks, if you want to hear the freight episode of the Mega Mile Studios Super Secret podcast, hit that like and subscribe button, because we are going to be on that probably before the end of the year, I'm sure.
I think we'll talk to Matt Ryan about it in a few weeks.
Oh yeah, that's right. Be on the lookout for the Matt Ryan episode coming up here real soon. Anyways, so well, you've mentioned we've come back to the literary side of things over and over again. Why don't we get into your literary background? I mean, we wanted to know about you as the gamer, but let's also talk about you as the writer, you were a magazine editor, correct? Yeah.
I did a literary magazine for a while, which just quickly, for anybody who doesn't know what that is, it's basically just a collection of like poems and stories and things that were submitted, and like they all come together from different like authors, right? So different poets and writers all kind of collected all together, and usually there's a theme to the magazine, or maybe there's not, and it's like that world is vast and expansive and very interesting as well. But yeah, I did a literary magazine for, I think it was probably about 4 years. I'm not sure. But it was, I had the twist of that my literary magazine was going to be in the form of a podcast. So,
that.
So basically they would, the authors would submit their work on paper, like through email or whatever. And then, I would accept them, and then basically I would say to them, hey, can you record this in an audio format? And then I would just kind of slap it all together and put things together in different ways. It worked out. Like it was going well for a while, and then that just for whatever reason, that was a lot of work. It felt like a lot of pressure, because there's like all these authors who are like, yeah, like you've accepted my work, or like put this out, and then I just putting it all together. I also have 2 kids and a wife, and it was just like the labor of love is there, the passion is there, but man, I need sanity, and I need to like have my relationships, and like I'm a person, so it was one of those.
People still listen to it? Like, is that still out there?
I mean, it's still out there. Like it is still on. Like you can get it on Apple Podcasts and things like that. You can get it where you get podcasts.
What was the name?
I don't know if people still listen to it. Oh, it was again, I'm great at naming things, and that's sarcasm. But it was Golden Walkman magazine. Golden Walkman. Yeah, see, that's exactly what I get every time I tell everybody. It was no, but it was funny. So the reason that one has a funny story of like where it came from. So my name is DG Walker. So there's the Walker part. But I was getting into it with a editor, and again it's funny because I get these people who are interested and then they drop off. But like, so I was in it with a co-editor, and his last name was Goldman.
Okay.
So basically, we were trying to throw out ideas of what the name could be, and I came up with the silly idea of like a golden Walkman, because it's like it's like a Walkman, and it's music, like audio, right?
Yeah.
And we couldn't come up with anything better, so it stuck. And then he was gone off the thing, and then it was just me, and then I just had to be like, yeah, this is my.
And yet his name came first in the title.
Did he blame the title for his exit? Was he like, we just, I'm not.
Yeah,
this. Like,
I don't know. I should talk to him. I should reconnect and see.
Are you guys
like,
still on
what?
talking terms, speaking terms?
No. He was actually. So he was in my. I was in an MFA program for poetry, and
nice.
he was. I like roomed with him for a little bit, and like we would hang out. But after that, like he's doing his own thing, and then like I don't really talk to a lot of people from my program anymore. I'm kind of out of that world a little bit, but yeah.
Happens. I mean, post COVID especially, like, our world's changed. I know my social circle looks a lot different post COVID myself. Just curious,
sure.
You said that you would have the authors record their own work, is that correct?
Yes.
So
if they could.
If they could, okay, because that just like it reminds myself of what Danny and I are doing here. Every week we're having new guests on, and we have to like struggle with their recording equipment, or sometimes we have to find the best methods. You have like you got that pop filter and everything there, so you got the nice stuff. But I'm just imagining how inconsistent it could have been with the different writers trying to record as best they can, and their different levels of knowing audio. You don't, in my head I was like, oh, you must have hired voice talent, or you must have had somebody who was like ready to read. But I guess maybe not.
Well, okay, so there was that. I was a big, like, that was part of my mission or whatever, is I wanted the work in the author's voice, because I was like, this, if I'm gonna have it like as a podcast, or I'm gonna have it in audio format, I want to make sure like they have the best possibility of presenting it the way that they want it presented. So often I would be like, yeah, do that, and then yes, you're right. There was some that were like, oof, right, like some of the audio quality was bad, and we would just roll with it because it was kind of like the underground, like, oh, it's a Walkman, right? Ooh, scratchy,
punk
whatever.
rock.
So it would work. Yeah, it would kind of work with what it was. But when they couldn't do it, we had what we called, what I called surrogate readers. Surrogate readers, and basically they're the people. I had like 3 or 4 people who were fine, like they had good audio recording things, and so like when a author said, I can't record this, I don't know how to do this justice, I would send it out to one of them and they would record it, and it would work out like that. So that was cool. That was a good way of getting around it. But it was a journey, man. It was a journey to get that to work. I loved it. I really did, but yeah.
I really like the concept of that as a podcast. One of my favorite podcasts I'm actually sticking to is called Infinite Cast. We'll probably get more into this later, but it's basically a husband and wife, and the wife reads the husband a book. They started with Infinite Jest. They're now doing Inherent Vice. But just I'm not the biggest reader. I'm not the biggest reader. I just don't make as much time for it. And also, I guess I'm at an age where reading fiction seems a little frivolous for I don't know what reason. But so when I read, I like to read nonfiction. But it's like in that podcast form, and it's what I call an audio book club, because not only are they reading the book, but they're also stopping and talking about it. So you're getting both the the reading side of the book club and the discussion side all in one. So I would be very attracted to that sort of concept. I think there's something there. It's just I'm sure like with the variety of people, the amount of different voices, the amount of different authors. It just seems like it might have been a lot to keep up with. But that's awesome that you did it. How many episodes were y'all able to get through?
Ooh, I don't have that off the top of my head, but it was quite a bit. Like we would try to do one like once a month and sometimes twice a month.
Oh wow.
Yeah, for a while it was twice a month, for that a bit of time. So it's probably around close to 50 or 60 like episodes, something like that.
Wow. That's
Yeah,
incredible.
no, it was good. Yeah, it was really cool. I mean, I might revive it at some point because you just pick it up and then like I think it would be a lot to be like, hey guys, I'm back, like submit your stuff again. And not to whatever, to get the trust back, which is definitely something that you gotta cultivate.
We live in a world
But-
of revivals right now. I mean, if we if they could revive the X-Files, I'm sure you could revive the Golden Walkman magazine. And
Yeah,
I want
there
to
you
say,
go.
like, that audience, that work is out there. You can listen to the Golden Walkman magazine. I'm sure of it. Go to Apple Podcast and give that a listen too. I know I'm going to try out a few episodes.
All right.
Absolutely.
Cool.
And if you like it and you make enough noise, DG will make thousands more episodes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm committed. It's a contract. This is a social contract right now. I'm committed.
So that's really awesome. And what about your own writing? Like you mentioned that you do some poetry. You mentioned that you've. It sounds like you do a little dabble in a little bit of everything. What do you usually write when you sit down?
Yeah, so I'm kind of a weird guy who doesn't take myself too seriously. So a lot of my writing was like, kind of weird, like humorous. Like I always tried to kind of like if I'm trying to critique something, I'm probably not going to come at it from a really dramatic way. Like it's often a lot of satire or something like that. So I usually wrote my poetry was definitely kind of like on the more humorous side. I don't know if I don't know. Do you guys know Billy Collins at all? He's probably one of the more popular like mainstream poets, like contemporary-ish.
I don't think I know who that is.
It's
The
it's
person
fine.
I have in my mind is almost certainly not it.
Yeah.
No, I don't know who that is.
So yeah, it's fine. But like he's a guy. He's a poet who really like he wrote these poems that were like serious at times, but then he wrote a lot of poems that had humor in them. And I think like when a lot of people think of poetry, they don't really think of like humorous poetry. They think of like deep thoughts and like whoa, right? Like ideas that are like going to really get you to contemplate your life and stuff. And someone like Billy Collins, and there's this other guy, Larry Levis, who had a lot of interesting stuff. Like his stuff was really unique, but like really just took a different look at the world, right? Like they're definitely coming at it from a different angle and trying to present things that are probably like themes that we've heard about in writing a lot, but that are being presented in really interesting ways through their voice. So that's often what I would try to do. Is I would be like, okay, you've heard a story about love or like a poem about love, but have you heard it in like the format of a job interview? I don't know. Like I did weird stuff. I did weird stuff like that all the time. So
I like that.
Yeah.
it was a lot of a lot of weird, interesting, funny stuff. That's kind of where I presented with my writing.
It sounds like the Danny and I come from filmmaking background, so we dabbled in comedy and sketch, and it like these things sound like they're just like a shade away from being, like I said, sketch comedy, like a good humorous poem, like you said, job interview as or falling in love in the format of a job interview would be something I would imagine I would trip over on YouTube these days. So like that definitely
Yeah.
scratched
Or
the
TikTok.
itch. Or TikTok.
Or TikTok.
Speaking of which, and I think Danny should probably take the lead on this part of the conversation, but you're a fairly prolific TikToker, and I'm not a huge TikTok watcher. It's not my platform of choice, but I did watch a few of your TikToks today, and I want to say, great lighting, great production value. You're really clever with that. I don't know where to begin. Like, where did you begin with TikTok?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So TikTok's a new one for me. I started in like September of this past year, and it was funny because, man, I should just like. You should really interview my wife, honestly. But
Don't
I
tempt us
wasn't
with a good time.
yeah, right. So I've there was a point where I got off like most of all social media. Like I was on Facebook for a while and stuff like that, and then I just like, the comparison culture, or whatever. Like the thing that really bothered me, it was really in social media and Facebook. So I got off that, and so I didn't really do much of anything on social media. But my wife really really got into TikTok, and she would watch videos in bed, right? She was watching them like as we're scrolling through whatever, and then like sometimes like once we got into the board game hobby, and that crazy algorithm, all of a sudden you're getting board game stuff. And I'm starting to see like TikToks from board game people, right? Like, oh, this is interesting, right? Okay, they're being showcasing a game that I never heard of, or they're making a sketch about a game. They're showing the game. Oh, this is really cool. So eventually, I don't know what eventually got me to be like, okay, now I'm gonna actually go for it. But I was like, that's something I could probably do. We have we've grown our collection quite a bit, so why don't we just try this out? And so I just started kind of putting together these videos, and like in the beginning of it, like I would spend way too much time on the videos. Like I was like, I'm going to get it from this angle and that angle, and I'm going to write the script, and I'm going to do all this stuff. And I was just like, and then I would like post it, and it would be like, 200 views and like 3 likes. And it was like, okay, I mean, like, that's not why I'm doing this, but at the same time, man, I put an effort into these things. Like, it just didn't feel like the return on investment.
They don't love me.
No, right. And then the return on investment is not there, right?
It's not there. It's unsustainable to do that.
It's not. And so, like, then I eventually just put out this, like, really random one where I was just talking to myself, where I would just be like over there and just did random stupid stuff. And that one was like, oh wow, like way more reaction or something like that. And then I was like, okay, I'm gonna like make my life easier, because again, just like everything else, you only have a certain amount of time in your life and in your day. Yeah. Like I want to spend time with my family, so maybe I'm not going to spend 5 hours making a 30-second TikTok that I need to have like a million edits on. And I'll just put something out and see what happens. And it just, so it's been wild. Like, it's been a wild sort of thing. And like, obviously, I don't think I'd be talking to you guys if it wasn't for TikTok. And a lot of the people that I now like talk to a lot on a daily basis, like I've met through TikTok, which is crazy to me. Cause I was like not even on this. So it's cool. It's been,
Are you
cool.
surprised by how quickly like TikTok actually became part of your social life?
Yes.
It's crazy, right?
This is not, I mean, because it's a video, like they're videos, like it's just like, okay, you keep scrolling and there's another video and there's another video. And like, I'm like, that's all it is people sitting and watching videos, but that's not what happens. Like people interact with the videos and they talk and they message and they build off, and they do like the Stitch and the duet thing where people are like taking other people's videos and like building off it. Like the community just really forms and like talks, and it's with each other, and it's crazy, right? Like it's something I did not expect. So it's
almost like DIY filmmaking, like on a platform that you can just constantly access, and like you said, they can contribute, you can react, you can follow. It is probably, I mean, I'm not a big fan of it just because I don't know, various reasons. I at first I was afraid I'd get sucked into it. Then I started using it and I realized I didn't get sucked into it. So I was like, okay, maybe it's just not my style. But
right.
I mean, I do think that it's been a great benefit to us, and the fact that Danny has dived head first into TikTok, I think has been just one of the smart strategies that he took early on in getting Megamoth Studios up and running and getting the X Seekers of Fortune out there. Did you have any filmmaking background before? You mentioned like you knew you wanted to get all these angles and editing. Had you done some filmmaking in the past?
Okay, so when I was in college, I was an English major and I was a film minor because I was just really into film. Like I really I watched a lot of movies, research, right? But it's just like whatever, and so I like the film minor was actually really cool, and some of the most memorable classes that I've had that I feel like I've actually learned the most from, and that still stick with me today, are my film classes that I took for that minor. So I've always really enjoyed it, but I've never, I don't know, aside from doing like really dumb videos, sketch things that we would put on YouTube that I definitely buried and that I'm making sure no one can see ever again. I did not do filmmaking stuff.
We have some of those. I promise you, we have some of those.
Yes.
Right? It's just like scrub.
We have some that we can't bury.
Right. Those are the ones you gotta watch out for.
Yeah. Audience, please don't look into those at all. Like, just let bygones be bygones. But isn't that the perfect way? Like, that's what you said right there. Sounds like training for TikTok. You didn't know you were doing it, but you were kind of training for it. If anybody out there had ever done dumb sketches as kids or as teenagers or young adults, that was probably the training you needed to tackle TikTok. Like, if like, oh, we actually need to get a close up of this, so we're going to have to edit into a close up. That's it. Or like, this is good acceptable audio. Which is amazing that so many people have, like, our phones these days are so good that people can just use the microphones built into their phone and it works and it's good enough.
Oh, it's super good. Like, the new iPhone's microphone is like really nice. Like,
yeah, you just
that's
upgraded,
probably, yeah. I've been like really, I mean, I knew the camera was going to be good, but I feel like the mic's improved quite a bit. It's funny, like it may be that it hasn't, and then I'm just crazy, but that's not the first thing. Mm-hmm. I wanted to ask you this question while we're talking about the literature topic. What is your favorite novel? Like, what do you got favorite board games? What's your favorite novel?
Yeah. All right. Well, I mean, I guess we can get into this where I'm probably like the least literary person ever. Like, okay. I don't know. Like, I'm more into the writing stuff where I write stuff. Like I'm more into it that way. Okay. And I'm a horrible reader. I really sort of I when Joel was talking about how he doesn't read, I was with you.
Oh, okay. I'm glad to hear that.
No, it's funny because like I used to read a lot when I was a kid. So I used to read a lot when I was a kid, mm-hmm. And that's kind of where my love for literature came from. I read pretty much a series of unfortunate events. That book
Lemony
series.
Snicket. Yeah.
Yes, Lemony Snicket. I read
Goth
those
Kids, Harry
like
Potter.
Yeah, basically it was dark.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I read those pretty much right when they came out. I would read them in a night, and then that would be, like those were great. Those were great, great books. But I don't know. I'm also an English teacher, and for high school, right? So don't.
Do you tell your students that you don't read?
No. Listen. I can't do that. Okay, listen, I told them I was a horrible. Listen, I told them I was a horrible student because I used to skip all the time. I did tell them that, and how I kind of regretted it. Like I regretted it because whatever. That's what I have to say now. But
punk rock.
No, but yeah, right, yeah, exactly. I don't know. It's gonna sound so boring or stupid, but I really enjoy the writing in The Great Gatsby. That's a great one.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wish I had a more interesting answer, but I don't really.
Okay. All right. No, I mean that's defensible.
Well, you said you're a big movie fan. How about we go with that one? What is one of your favorite movies of all time?
All right, now I have a different problem with that one because I have
many.
so many I like.
Yeah.
You know, that's the opposite problem.
First three that come to mind.
So I would say I love, and I don't know why, but I just love Inglourious Bastards. Like,
Yeah.
It's a great movie.
that movie is just fantastic. A lot of people say it's too long or whatever, it drags. I love every minute of that movie. I just love
fantastic.
it. I think
The
it's a
cellar
great
bar
movie.
scene is probably like whenever I think of a great movie scene, that's the one that comes to mind. If I could write something like that in any format, like as half as good, I would be so proud of myself.
It's so fantastic, and I just love the trust that like he puts in, like that he's fine. You know, Tarantino's fine letting that scene just breathe as much as it does, right? Like it's just like the scene where like we're in this, you know, this tense sort of like Nazi Germany thing, and we're having this game where they're, you know, trying to figure out like what's on each other's cards, and then it just gets real tense where he takes out the gun and it's like, oh, what happened? Like,
Yeah.
what is going on here?
Yeah.
I love that scene a lot.
It's so impactful. It forever changed me to where I always do 3 like this. It's
Yeah,
set
right.
something
You
like
gotta.
that.
Yep. Exactly. It's so good.
The German 3.
No.
Okay.
Another
so
one that comes
that's
to
one. You got a couple more?
Yeah, another one that comes to mind is Lucky Number 11.
Oh, I haven't seen that. It's good.
Have you
Josh
seen that one?
Arnett.
Yeah, exactly. I love that one because that one is just like it's very style. It's just a lot of style, like, you know, stylized, very stylized. I like the twists in it. Just kind of how. Like in the acting, the actors that are in that movie are ridiculously good. They're fantastic. So there's that, and then, I guess I'll give like a just
You got a real
pompous
like you
one.
go into the art like a real artsy basement and pull up like a very obscure one.
Well, I don't know if it's obscure, but I really enjoy Children of Men.
Okay,
Yep.
yeah, that's
You
a
guys
great
talk about
one.
that on this podcast.
That's a good one. Like that's a really good. That one's one where I'm like, it's not one I want to pop on any old day, but it's just, yeah, you got to be in the right mindset for that one.
Yeah.
It's bleak, but yeah, I like that one. That one's good. I have to respect it, of just like the filmmaking of it. It's great.
Excellent.
Very cool.
3 really good choices. I think we had one more major topic we wanted to go to, but I kind of wanted to loop back just really quick to the literary thing because I was thinking about this when you were talking, but I never brought it up. I would kick myself if I didn't. The way that you were talking about like humorous poetry. Have you ever been to? I know we have it here in Austin. I think it's the O. Henry Pun Off or something like that. Do you know what I'm talking about?
No.
Well, it's-
I mean, that sounds familiar. I think I've heard of something like that, but no, I've never been to any of that. It sounds
I
awesome.
really I should go again, but it just sounded like maybe it could be potentially up your alley. You know, it's like, you know, people writing poems that are like chock full of puns. They're usually very thematic, you know, on like one topic. I had a great time. What it seemed like to me was like the people who got into stand-up comedy who were also literary. It was like their like secret side project because I think everybody who went up was also like a comedian from New York. But just if you haven't seen it, like you might want to look into it. But it's a you know, like a great little competition for, you know, people who are into poetry, humorous poetry specifically.
That's awesome. Yeah, my family makes fun of me at how how much puns tickle me. Like I bust out laughing with a good pun. Like it has to be a good one, but like, man, everyone else is rolling their eyes and I'm just like dying on the floor. Puns are great.
Well,
Puns.
heaven is a place on earth, and you can go there. It's the O. Henry pun competition.
That's great. That's awesome.
Yeah. Now, Danny had like one last topic he put in here, and I have no idea about this. So, Danny, do you want to take this line of questioning? Because I'm completely in the woods about it.
Sure. So, I mean, we've talked about your game designer, your literary background, your minor in film. You've got all these things. Well, you're a teacher, you're an English teacher, but you're also in metal bands. Is this like a thing?
Yeah, I was in a metal band. I was in a metal band for that was probably another 4-year stretch of my life where I was in a metal band. Yeah.
What was that? What was that like? What were you called? What's the metal band called?
Oh god,
was it a better name?
No, it's not, dude. It's a theme. I guess if we're gonna go with themes, the titles of whatever I work on are not great, and I hated telling people the name of this band, but because it actually does bring a literary thing in, which is funny. Which I can't even say that was someone else. No, it's the band was called Telltale Massacre.
Telltale Massacre?
I like that
Telltale
name.
Massacre. Well, good.
Yeah.
You're one of the 5 that like it.
Well, give me a shirt because I would love to, have that in my closet.
Yeah. No. Yeah. It was fun. It was a good time. It was a good time in my life.
Well, what was your role in the band? Were you an instrumentalist or were you a singer?
Yeah, I was a guitarist.
Guitarist.
So, me and my my best. It was funny. So me and my best friend, he grew up right across the street from me, at my childhood home. We started playing guitar at the same time. Right, that's basically what we did. We hung out, we played guitar. We went to his basement and just like pulled up just like old tabs that would show up on the internet. And learned we learned Avenged Sevenfold and just really the cool stuff. Yeah. And so we did that, and then we eventually got together with a couple other people who could play drums, and someone who called themselves a singer.
Okay. Was this a hardcore band or a regular singing band?
Yeah. No, hardcore band. Hardcore.
Okay, so singer meaning pig growls.
Yeah, well, okay. That pig growl. I think there were a couple tracks with some pig growls.
Okay.
But no, even from the standards of those singers, which I enjoy that music. I still listen to that music quite often. But even for the standard, though he was bad. He was a bad singer. He just didn't sound.
You can almost recover any position being a mediocre musician except for the singer.
Yeah.
That's
I agree.
You can hide a mediocre guitarist with power chords, just 4 on the floor for the drummer if he doesn't know how to actually create a rhythm. Bass players, just hit that D, man. Just hit that D. Yeah. But the singer, if it's a bad singer, that I'm sorry, man. That makes sense.
Are you guys still on speaking terms?
With the singer, no. Well, the singer, no, because that was a different thing. That was more of a personal thing. If it was just we ended the band and then that was it, we would still talk to him. There was just other things that I'm not going to air on this podcast that happened.
That's fine.
We're not good. We're not on speaking terms with him. But everybody else in the band, we're still talking. I actually just texted them, the other day, trying to get together with them because it's been a while. But yeah, we still talk.
Excellent.
Nice.
Well, good. I think everybody, especially every young guy, at some point picks up a guitar. You actually got on stage, it sounds like, and actually performed in front of people. Yeah. Did y'all ever do a tour?
No, we didn't do a tour. We mainly did weekend shows and things like that. This was I was in college and stuff. So
okay,
yeah,
that's the best time to be in a band.
I think so.
Yeah.
You could actually drive to different places, and you're not asking your mom to drive you everywhere. That would have been because I feel like that's where a lot of people. Yeah, my mom in the van. We drove to the show and then had to get picked up early. Yeah, no, we got to drive. We got to drive, which is great.
We're talking with friends. Break down the set, Mom.
Yeah.
Would she sell the merch?
Yeah, there you go. Yep. Yeah, we didn't need any of that, so we were good.
Excellent. Well, we're glad we got you with a little bit of a sidewinder there at the end. How about we shock you with some questions in the lightning round? Now, Danny, you've set this up, so do you want to walk them through it?
Sure. So this is a brand new segment on the Super Secret podcast. So longtime listeners will be very confused, but hopefully excited. It is called 8 to rate because there are 8 different things to rate. And you're going to rate them as either underrated or overrated in this lightning round. So you're going to have to be quick, okay?
Okay.
So we'll give you 8, and your job is just to tell us if it's either under or overrated and why. Are you ready?
Sure. Let's do it.
Writing in cursive.
That's underrated.
Underrated. Okay, why? Because you're an English teacher, you have to. You have to say that.
Well, because no one does it anymore. So no one knows how to do it. Like the kid, if I asked any of my students to sign their name on something, I don't think they could. I think it would be printed. So that's where I'm at.
Yeah.
Professional wrestling.
Professional wrestling?
Yes.
Oh, that's overrated.
Overrated. Why is that?
Well, man, it's overrated. There's too many soap opera-y things. Yeah, like better writing. Get better writing on that, and then we're good. Yeah, we'll do that.
Hopefully, with the departure of Vince McMahon, they'll get some better writers in there. Supposedly, he's always the one to throw in the monkey wrench and make the writing worse.
There we go. Yeah. So hopefully, we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Next one, Vince McMahon. Joking. No. Riding lawnmower.
Riding lawnmower? That's underrated. Those things are awesome.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know how rated they
on a riding lawnmower on a hot summer day.
Listen, I don't know why they even sell the other type. Like the riding lawnmowers are amazing.
Do you have one?
Well, so it's funny. We don't actually. I now live in a neighborhood with my in-laws. Like we live across the street from them, and they're great. And my father-in-law has a really nice riding lawnmower, and he has taken it upon himself to mow everyone's yard. So we don't have to mow our yard anymore.
Wow,
so,
what a minch.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah, it's great. So, but I did have one for a while at our other house, and that was great. I loved it. I don't know why I did anything else.
Nice,
solid. Haikus.
Haikus are underrated. Yeah,
okay.
They're hard to write. Okay, so they're hard to write well because they're easy to write. I mean, you can do 5, 7, 5. Sure, like that's great, but can you do it in an interesting way? You know, like the ones who can pull it off, they're magic, man. It's magic.
We're gonna have to find out if Joel can pull it off later. Okay, suburban life.
That's overrated.
Overrated. Okay, go on.
Yeah,
do tell.
It's overrated. We just talked about it, man. The comparison culture. I'm done with it. Like,
yeah, he's so upset at it. He made an entire game, folks. I think
right.
His opinion
exactly. Overrated.
Okay, the band Tool.
Why'd you do that? That's tough. I would say they're overrated.
And why is that?
I don't want the hate, but listen, I love Tool. Tool's great. They got some good jams. But people are obsessed with them. Like the culture around Tool is just worship, and they're great. They're good. They're really good musicians, but I don't think it needs to be at that level.
It's for some people, it's the first and only band that exists, and that's a little weird.
Yeah, that's where I'm at with that.
I mean, if you want to live that lifestyle, Radiohead exists.
That's fair.
All right. TikTok.
Okay.
TikTok is listening, by the way, specifically
TikTok
to this.
Also, I want to say for the we're going through that time era like where TikTok is like supposedly going to be banned by the Congress. So
yes.
TikTok is actually the underdog now. So take that into account.
All right, I'll take that into account. It's underrated then. Sure. Well, God. Like, so the thing... Okay, so no, I'll say it's overrated because why the hell are we taking this much... Like, why is it that serious that we need to do so like this, right? Like, why do we need to do this? Like, they got nothing else better to talk about. Anyway, sorry, I'm not going to get into this. But, yeah, so overrated because, yeah. Like, so I'll say this. Listen. I think that, like, there are content creators, like, that, never mind. Yeah, so it's overrated. I'll just go with it. That's fine. I will be done with that.
Yes.
Living to be old over 80.
Living to be over 80?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, living to be 80 plus.
I see. This is where I don't know how it's rated. I think that it's, let's say, this is lightning round, right?
Lightning round,
yeah. I'm bad at this. Let's say it's, it's underrated. Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
I feel like Joel disagrees with that, but that's okay.
Wait, which one did you go with? I'm sorry,
Well,
I blinked because I was looking at some of the alternate questions. Did you say underrated?
I said underrated because a lot of people keep saying, like, a lot of people say, I don't want to be that old. Like, that's just where I'm going at it with that. And I feel like people write off people of that age.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh, you get to that age, now you're basically dead. So, like, yeah, it's underrated, right?
Still,
life can be
I
had.
think that I
Life
do
can
agree
be
with
had
the idea
there.
of, like, what is it? Living to old age is a privilege. I live with that idea in my mind. So, hey, just, but I will say I'll probably just start cruising at that age if I make it.
Yes.
What do you mean by
Yeah.
cruising, to be clear?
Yeah, actually,
Just,
I don't know what I'm agreeing
up in
to.
the smoking, up in the drinking, just having a good time.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
So-
You're near the end, right? So there we go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just live it
Not
up.
too different from how we are today, right?
No.
Right.
I said up and not starting. Awesome. Well, DG Walker,
That's great.
thank you for getting through the first lightning round on the Mega Moth Studios Super Secret Podcast. Hopefully that wasn't, I hope you had a good time.
I did. I was stressed out, I think, more than I should have been, but yeah, I had a good time.
No, it's designed to stress you out. That was the intention. We want to make sure our guests leave nice and stressed.
Yeah.
There we go. A mission accomplished.
Excellent.
There we go.
Yeah.
All right. Well, so Danny, I usually like to ask you, what was your key takeaway from what DG had to say?
Yeah, no, I really liked, I think Joel, you even summarized it earlier in the episode, just the idea of, like, being cognizant of your experiences and finding ways to channel that into your creative works, whether it be literature or some form of entrepreneurship or game design. I think it's really cool how you keep track of these ideas, you let them kind of germinate, and then when they they take bloom, you'll put them down, or you'll try to do something more with them. And I think that's something everyone should do a little bit more of.
For sure. And
That's great. I love that.
I have to say, I usually, I sometimes weigh in, sometimes don't, but this time my key takeaway is the takeaway that we've had the past few episodes, which is listen to your wife. Your wife probably has some pretty good ideas, and she's probably she's probably going to be there to support you. So if she's, it just seems like with DG, with Dusty, got to be a wife guy.
Gotta be.
I'll
be a wife
co-sign
guy.
that.
Gotta
I'll
be a wife.
co-sign, yeah.
All right, guys.
Very good.
Well, that's been our conversation with DG Walker today. And if you enjoyed this episode of the Mega Mall Studio Super Secret Podcast, I want you to open up your phone right now and go to your YouTube app, and there's that thumbs up. You see the thumbs up button right there. You hit that button and boom, some confetti comes out. It is amazing. But that's not where you're going to stop, because you're going to walk right over to that subscribe button. You're going to hit that as well. Please do it for us. Do it for the algorithm. It will help other people see these great conversations that we've been having this past few, 6 months now, Danny? Or more than 6 months, correct?
Oh, it feels like forever.
I know, doesn't it? And we're looking at having great conversations. We're already booked through mid-May, so we have some great guests coming up and some interesting topics to get into. And we're diversifying. Danny has another episode coming out of uncovering the unknown, excavating the unknown.
Excavating.
Thank you.
Excavating the unknown.
Yeah, so you want
And I
to...
had a real cool interview for that one.
Oh yeah, it's going to be super. I'm excited for it. He hasn't even shared that interview with me. You're going to see my reactions to the interview he got, and it is right now top secret. So you're going to want to subscribe, but not only subscribe, you're going to want to hit that bell icon. And we know that you are obviously a lovely YouTube watcher, but not all of your friends are into watching their podcasts. They like to listen to their podcasts. So just tell them that you can find us at all of those podcatchers. Apple Podcasts, Spotify. My personal favorite is Pocket Cast. Danny, do you have one, or do you just use one of the regular ones?
No, I don't listen to podcasts.
Danny doesn't even listen to podcasts. He just records them. Hey, I don't.
Yeah.
I don't make TikToks. I just star in them from time to time when Danny points a camera at me. So
fair.
Once you've done
Accurate.
Once you've done all that, we really appreciate it. But if you have anything else to say, you can, leave a comment here. You can rate us. If you rate us in any of the podcatchers, just drop us a link and we will read your review. We would love to see what you have to say. Any feedback on the show is welcome. And with that, I think that I've rung that bell long enough. So why don't we move on to what I'm now terrified, Danny's Something Random.
Yeah. Well, before that, I have another question for DG. Before the show, DG told us how much he hates those. So on a scale of 1 to 10, how much did you hate what Joel just did there? Was that loathsome enough for you?
You know what? I would say. Wait, is 10 the hate? 10 is
10's like, oh my god. I hope Joel doesn't make it through the end of the episode.
So think of the pain scale at the hospital. Like 10 is like,
Okay, the worst. All right, so I'll say that was a 5 because I like the walking over to the subscribe button. That was good, and I like the whole the plan. I've rung the bell long enough. I mean, it was great. Yeah. It was good. I
think Joel wished he had a more extreme reaction solicited from me. He's like, either wants the love or the hate.
Sorry. Yeah, I'm going middle of the road because that's
lukewarm
the safest.
reception.
Yes.
I'll take that as I just need to work on it.
I have 3 possible options for this something random, and I'm going to let DG decide based on his mood. So we have a quiz show type thing, similar to what you saw on the Lie episode. I know you're interested in that. We also have another option, which is a little bit more theatrical, a little more dramatic. It would require you to be a little bit, a little dramatic. And then the third option is just kind of just punishing to Joel. I mean, they all are, but this one in particular is just designed specifically to be punishing to Joel.
Punishing to Joel, just that's it. Like that's the selling point. What's the I can't know anything else about the theatrical one.
I will say on the theatrical one, there's going to be a lot of bravado, a lot of machismo.
All right. Well, I have a lot of people that are asleep at my house, so I will pass on that one. Why don't we just do the quiz show? Hey, wait, what is? Yeah, let's just do the quiz one. Let's go.
Okay, perfect. This is a literary quiz.
Oh no!
See, this is what I was.
These are always multiple choice, but in recent times I've decided to not give you any of the choices. I think it's just better. Tests are always harder when there's no choices. Also, Joel does too well when we do multiple choice. So
I'm a product of the United States education system, baby. I know how to deduce those multiple choice questions.
All right, that's what I was banking on too.
So here's the deal. I'm going to read you the first line from a famous novel, and you are going to have to tell me what novel that line belongs to.
Sure.
Oh, well, this is a topic of interest for me.
All right, I'm going to start with an easy one. I'll give you a couple easy ones, and we'll put in some hard ones as well. All right, Here's number 1. We're starting easy. It was the best of times. It was the worst of times. It was the age of wisdom. It was the age of foolishness. I'll read it one more time while you write down your answers. Lock in your answers. It was the best of times. It was the worst of times. It was the age of wisdom. It was the age of foolishness. All right. Let me know when you guys have your answers locked in.
Darn, that just sounds like, some contemporary, something you could pick off the shelves right now. I'm ready.
Sure, okay, DG, ready. You're the guest. You get to reveal your answer first. The Tale of Two Cities. Okay. Yep. And Joel also has Tale of Two Cities. It is tied 1-1 after the first round. Great job.
I'm going to try writing my next one in cursive in honor of DG.
Oh, my goodness.
All
right.
And you'll see
Question
why I don't
number
write
2.
in
This
cursive.
one is very short.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Call me Ishmael.
Oh, come on.
There we go. Call me Ishmael.
Locked in.
Okay. All right,
I'm
DG, what
locked
you
in.
got?
I got Moby Dick.
Moby Dick. And Joel has Moby Dick as well, although it looks more like Molly Dick.
Yeah,
but
there's the cursive.
We'll count it.
I appreciate it.
Okay.
It's an underrated medium.
Mm-hmm. I just had to stop writing cursive because I couldn't read my own writing back. So I started writing in all caps.
All right, we're still
All
tied
caps is great.
2-2.
Yep.
Question number 3. All happy families are alike. Each unhappy family is unhappy in its own way.
Oh, darn. I know this as like a saying. I didn't know, I like a writer said. I didn't realize it was an opening line to a book. So but that pretty much answers where I'm
All
going to be.
happy families are alike. Each unhappy family is unhappy in its own way.
I know it's not right, but I'll write this. What is the name of that book again?
I think I know it, but I'm not sure.
Okay. Wait for Joel to lock his answer in. Hopefully people are playing along at home. Hopefully they're driving safely while they do, if they're driving.
I know that this is probably the worst. Oh, whoops. Okay. Go ahead.
All right. DG, what you got?
Anna Karenina.
Okay. Joel, what do you have?
I said Catcher in the Rye.
It is Anna Karenina.
Ah.
3-2.
I will-
Joel is losing.
Yes.
Okay.
You love to say that.
It is one of my favorite sayings, yes.
Okay.
It is a truth universally acknowledged that a single man in possession of a good fortune must be in want of a wife.
Oh,
It
man.
is a truth universally acknowledged that a single man in possession of a good fortune must be in want of a wife.
And I hope I'm that single man in possession of a fortune soon. Darn. This is
I know I have the author, but I don't know if I have the right novel.
Well, you have a little breathing room. You are leading Joel 3-2 at the moment.
All right, so I'll just tank this one then.
All right.
Give him
Let
some
me know when you
hope,
have
I
your
guess.
answers locked in, gentlemen.
just dotting my I's and crossing my T's.
Seems unnecessary.
Okay, I'm ready.
All right. Did you have
I'm guessing there's not many I's or T's in this title.
Pride and Prejudice.
Joel, what do you have?
I said Great Expectations.
It is Pride and Prejudice. 4-2. Joel is losing and without help. So, number 5. Many years later, as he faced the firing squad, Colonel Aureliano Buendia was to remember that distant afternoon when his father took him to discover ice. Many years later, as he faced the firing squad, Colonel Aureliano Buendia was to remember that distant afternoon when his father took him to discover ice.
See, this is where you kind of have to take educational guesses.
I think I've read this
Call
first line because I think I picked up this book and read the first line. It was like, maybe later. All right, ready?
Okay. DG, what do you got?
I have Call of the Wild.
Call of the Wild. Okay, Joel.
100 Years of Solitude.
Ooh, Joel with the 100 Years of Solitude. That is 4-3.
Oh boy.
Here we go. All right. Here we go. I feel like this one might be unfair because it's Joel's favorite book, but we'll do it anyway. Lolita, Light of My Life, Fire of My Loins.
That is blasphemy. Yeah, but that's... I mean,
Lolita, Light of My Life, Fire of My Loins.
okay, well, I'm ready.
Oh no.
Definitely had to dot an I and cross the T on this one.
I mean, I guess.
All right, what do you got, DG?
I don't know, Lolita?
Yeah. What do you got, Joel? Yep. Well, of course you got it. That's your favorite book. All right.
My favorite book is actually what is it? Dead Eye Dick by Kurt Vonnegut. Just want to put that out there right now to squash the rumors.
Slaughterhouse
Probably
Five.
the same thing. Okay. All right, let's do this one. All right, so it is 5-4, and we are going to do. If you really want to hear about it, the first thing you'll probably want to know is where I was born and what my lousy childhood was like. If you really want to hear about it, the first thing you'll probably want to know is where I was born and what my lousy childhood was like.
Okay, I think what's the second time's a charm? Let's see.
Oh, now I'm nervous.
Okay.
Okay. What do you got, DG?
Catcher in the Rye.
Okay, and Joel?
Catcher in the Rye.
Oh, you're both correct.
Nice.
And that is 6-5.
We still have more to go.
Yep. We're going to do 2 more.
Okay.
Well, I'll say this. If DG gets this and you don't, this is it. This is curtains, Joel.
Oh God.
If you get it and DG doesn't, we'll do a tiebreaker.
Okay.
Or if you both get it, we'll do another one. Okay. It was a pleasure to burn.
Oh yeah.
It was a pleasure to burn.
Not confident with this one.
All right, what do you got, DG?
I don't know. Fahrenheit 451.
Okay, Joel, what do you got?
Yes, I also have Fahrenheit 451.
Okay. I'm not sure about that spelling, but I'll say that it is a tie, and we're at what, 7-6? Is that right?
Wow. Okay.
Yes, I believe so, because that was question number 8.
Yep.
All right. Here's one. The village of Holcomb stands on the high wheat The village of Holcomb stands on the high wheat plains of western Kansas, a lonesome area that other Kansasans call out there. The village of Holcomb stands on the high wheat plains of western Kansas, a lonesome area that other Kansans call out there.
I mean, again, educational, I guess.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of like what books I know, like what literature I know that takes place in Kansas.
All right.
I almost want to have DG grade my cursive after we're done. Okay, this is out there, but let's go for it.
All right. What do you got, DG?
Yeah, Wizard of Oz.
Wizard of Oz. What do you got, Joel?
The same, The Wizard of Oz.
All right. Well, that was the last question. Neither of you got it right. It was In Cold Blood, Truman Capote.
Yep. Nope. My mother-in-law is gonna hate me for that.
But
That's like her favorite
DG
book.
is victorious. He bests Joel.
Yes.
And Joel remains unvictorious in this game.
I'll get you next time, DG. You won't hear the end of this,
All right.
Danny.
Here's one more for flavor to carry us out. You guys, the first one to blurt it out gets this one. We were somewhere around Barstow on the edge of the desert when the drugs began to take hold.
That would be shoot.
Leaving Las Vegas.
No, it's Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas.
There you
That's what it was. That's the one.
There we go.
Yes. One of
that
those
concludes
Las
the
Vegases.
something random.
Nice. No, that was
random.
Yeah, I like that one. I felt like I learned something.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. I always hope that you find the podcast educational, Joel. That's my sole goal in doing this, is to educate you on something.
Well, that's our sole goal in bringing this show to you, our lovely, lovely audience of secret keepers. And don't keep that secret. Remember, tell your friends about us. Like and subscribe. All that jazz. You don't want to hear me do it again. I only got a 5 last time. I got to practice, but I'll save that for next week. DG Walker, we always like to end by asking our guest, where do you want to be found?
TikTok. Yeah, I guess TikTok for right now is basically the only place I'm at. So yeah, follow me on TikTok.
And that's
What's your handle?
DG Walker is bored, like as in board game. Because again, I'm really good at titling things.
Hey, it's a good pun.
Yeah.
There you go.
Thank you.
All right. Danny, did you have any final remarks? Anything you wanted to mention before we get out of here?
No, nothing that I have to say on that count. I'm good to get out of here.
Excellent. Yeah, I think we all are. It's getting a little late for everybody here. Well, I just want to say that thank you so much, DG Walker, for stopping by. It was a really good time talking with you. I'm looking forward to hopefully doing it again and maybe doing it with your wife sometime. Danny, you have been here as well. Thank you so much for, facilitating this.
Yeah.
This has been Danny. I have been Joel, reminding you that you must start somewhere. So why not here? Thanks for listening. Theme music by James Holden, produced and edited by William Wymore.
You could start another podcast. There are other podcasts out there, better ones.